The Life of the Buddha, Chapter 2, The Four Gates of Wandering. Siddhartha spends his days peacefully in the palace. But in his heart, an invisible door begins to open little by little. One night, he quietly looks up at the moon and mutters to himself, "What is there in this world? Why are we here?" The questions in his mind grow bigger day by day, and the luxurious life of the palace cannot fill them. Then, a turning point comes for him. It is a step towards a forbidden adventure, to peek at the outside world without the king's permission. The first gate, an encounter with an old man. One day, Siddhartha desperately wants to see the outside world, so he secretly has his servant Chana prepare a carriage. The first place he visits after leaving the palace is the north gate of the city. There, he is greeted by a sight he has never seen before. "Chana, why is he so hunched and walking with a cane?" He pointed to a thin, gray-haired old man who was shaking. Chana answered with a slightly troubled look on her face. "Prince, that's what we call old age. Everyone becomes like that when they get older. Everyone. You and me too." Siddhartha's heart was heavy with those words. In the palace, youth and health were taken for granted, but in the outside world, the reality of aging was inevitable. The second gate, meeting the sick man. In shock and confusion, Siddhartha continued his carriage and headed for the eastern gate of the city. There he found a man who had collapsed to the ground and was groaning. "Chana, what happened to that man?" "Prince, that's what we call illness. Sometimes people become weak and suffer." "Does that happen to everyone?" "Yes, my prince." Siddhartha lowered his eyes. In the glorious palace, he had never even thought of the pain of illness. He began to feel, "Perhaps this world is more full of sorrow than I thought." The third gate, meeting with the dead. As Siddhartha continued towards the south gate, he came across a funeral procession. Crying families were carrying a body wrapped in white cloth. "Chana, what are they doing?" "Prince, those are the dead. Everyone is destined to die someday." "Are we all going to die?" "Yes, my prince. The king, the people, all living beings." At that moment, Siddhartha felt as if all the strength had left his body. He keenly felt how narrow the world he had been protected from had been. Old age, illness, and death. These were realities hidden within the walls of the palace. The fourth gate, meeting with the ascetics. With a heavy cloud covering his heart, Siddhartha finally met a monk at the western gate. He was wearing rough cloth, but his face looked somehow calm. "Chana, who is that? Why do he have such calm eyes?" "Prince, that is a monk. They have abandoned their homes to seek the truth. They train themselves to overcome the suffering of the world." When the monk's eyes met, Siddhartha was deeply moved. His expression contained a quiet strength unlike anyone he had ever seen. "Is there a way to overcome suffering?" Those words were deeply engraved in Siddhartha's heart. The night he returned to the palace. After returning to the palace, Siddhartha lay in his luxurious room, but he could not close his eyes. When he closed his eyes, he would see the trembling hands of an old man, the suffering face of a sick person, and the white cloth of a dead person. And finally, the monk's calm eyes. In this world, there is suffering such as old age, sickness, and death. But surely there is a way to overcome this suffering, just like a monk can. When he thought this, a decision was born in his heart. Preview of the next chapter. Through an experience that turns his life upside down, Siddhartha begins to search for a new path. In the next chapter, he leaves the palace behind and sets out on a journey to find true answers. What trials and encounters await him on his journey?
Thank you for watching until the end. I'm Meganeko Awai, the granddaughter of far-sighted Bluesy. If you enjoyed this video, please support us by liking and subscribing. I'd be very happy if you could share your thoughts and ideas in the comments. I'll be sure to bring you more enjoyable content next time, so don't miss it. See you again in the next video. Thank you very much.